morning.
Good morning.
And happy Mother's Day to everyone who is a mother or ever had one. That would be everybody.
And have kitties and puppies.
And have kitties and puppies, yes, yes. So good morning and welcome to Unity of Palmyra. We're centered in love. We embrace a positive path for spiritual living. We are an open and affirming congregation. We love you exactly as you are in all of your magnificent glory, and we're absolutely delighted that you have joined us here this morning on this Mother's Day. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Mother's Day today within the context of our ongoing series and give us a little bit of a different perspective on Mother's Day, as I like to do. So let's take a nice big deep breath. And take just a moment to center, to ground, to become fully present to wherever you are. So if you are joining us online, I invite you to turn off the phone, turn off any distractions, and allow yourself the gift of being fully present. As we come together to come apart for a while, to leave the busyness and the constant stimulation of the world, to get quiet, to breathe, to remember who we are, to laugh, cry, learn, and simply be. This time is a gift to ourselves, in which we prepare and we practice so that we can go forth in the world and make that difference that we have come here to make. To be that shining demonstration of love and wisdom and courage and compassion in the world. And so as always, we come together with gratitude. Gratitude for this time. Gratitude for whatever space you are in, and most especially, gratitude for one another. And so it is. Amen. So we're going to do some releasing today, so let's stand and sing with intention. I release.
I release
And I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my face I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my face I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Ooh, how low can you go, Jeannie? All right, let's share in our vision together. Centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. And our mission, wherever we are, inside and especially outside of these walls, We provide a welcoming community that inspires and encourages all who gather here through the teaching, sharing, and practice of universal spiritual principles. And one of the ways that we practice and honor those principles is to honor wherever you are on your journey. So if you would like a hug, we will bring it on in. If you're more comfortable with the handshake, please just put out your hand and we will honor that. And if you want us to leave you completely alone, we understand and we will respect it if you just want to stay in your own little space. Have a great time. And kids, you can go down with Miss Bridget. Downstairs.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Okay, sing it with us. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Do you ever feel like sometimes you come for the hugs and the food and then a church service kind of breaks out in between? Have a seat. All right, a couple of announcements. Our prayer chaplains today are Charles Lee and Sam Sherman, who are holding space for us from home this morning. Next Sunday, May 15th, is our monthly hug meeting. On May 22nd is our monthly social activism team meeting, and that will also be the second Sunday school of the month. So we have Sunday school today and Sunday school again on the 22nd. The next membership workshop is going to be held after church on June 12th, and that is the Eye of the Storm workshop, which is one of my favorites. So whether you want to be a member or not, please feel free to join us for that. It's an awesome, awesome experience that helps us to remember and to integrate and to take into ourselves that everyone and everything in our life is for us. What a concept, right? What would life look like if we went through it, believing that everyone we encounter and everything we encounter is for us? What do you think about that idea? I sense some skepticism in the room, but is that fear? No fear. Actually, we're going to talk about this a little bit during the talk. Embracing that everyone and everything is for us is the opposite of fear. It's freedom. Yeah. Wow, that's a wow, isn't it? So, hopefully everybody got a flower when you came in. It's our tradition to pass out flowers on Mother's Day to everyone who is a mother or had one. So that would be everybody. And if this is your first time celebrating with us today, welcome. We're absolutely delighted that you've joined us. And please, everyone, come downstairs for a fellowship afterwards, and we will eat and we will talk about today's topic and everything else that's going on in the world right now. So, Miss Elaine, would you please read the daily word?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mother's blessing. I bless all mothers everywhere. The word mother brings to mind love, gentleness, nurturance, and compassion. Even if I did not experience these qualities from the woman who gave me life, I give thanks for them in everyone who has inspired me and touched my life. To my mother and everyone who has blessed me with a mother's care, I send you love. I say a prayer of thanks for your presence in my life, for the sacrifices you made to give me the opportunity to grow and learn. You taught me the power of love and gentleness and the strength found in giving. You taught me above all to be true to myself. You are a leader who has taught me to lead by example. I send you thoughts of infinite love and peace as I join with others in gratitude and joy today. And from Proverbs 31:26, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue.
I am home. My family is here. I feel loved by the ones I hold so dear. And when my family needs me, I promise to be there. And when I need my family, I'm lifted up in prayer.
So this is the time of our service where we consciously enter into prayer, into that wondrous melding integration of heart and mind and spirit. And so if it's safe for you to do so, I invite you to close your eyes and allow yourself to breathe into this consciousness of wholeness, this consciousness of oneness, this understanding that there is only one of us in many magnificent forms. And so we take that understanding this morning into our celebration of mothers, as we acknowledge that even the word has so many different ramifications, can elicit so many emotions, feelings, reactions, responses. And so right now in this safe space, we hold them all. We hold whatever your experience of being mothered was or is. We hold your experience of mothering or nurturing or caring for another. For whether that experience was happy or sad, comforting or painful, we acknowledge the importance of that mother energy in the world, that healthy expression of compassion and nurturing and strength. And And so that energy we embrace. That energy we call forth today in a world hungry for it. And we acknowledge that that energy is not simply assigned to those who identify as woman, but we call forth that deep, feminine, nurturing power in every one of us. Male or female, or anywhere in between. That mother energy of love, perfect and imperfect. For in our humanness, we are capable of both. And for those who have had positive mother experiences, we celebrate with you. And for those who have had painful mother experiences, we extend our comfort to you. And right now, in this moment, in this space, we hold that mother energy for all. That unconditional love, that wise compassion, that incredible strength that comes from caring without attachment. That's the mother energy we claim, we hold, we demonstrate, we take into the world. So for anyone experiencing a challenge today, whether it be financial or relationship or physical, we surround you with that energy of the caring, courageous, supportive mother. And for anyone experiencing joy or cause for gratitude, we are the mother on the sidelines cheering you on and celebrating with you. For we are one, mother and child. We are family. And so it is. Namaste.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are beautiful. You are whole. Let it go. Let it roll right off your shoulder, don't you know? The hardest part is over. Let it in. Let your clarity define you in the end.
Yeah, I think we should start over. This song, normally Becky's high and I'm low. on this song, we're switching gears, and so she's not used to starting down there. So
you're not attached to
we're
your
not
usual
attached,
parts.
and we're not attached to perfection.
Let it go. Let it roll right off your shoulder, don't you know? The hardest part is over. Let it in. Let your clarity define you in the end. We will only just remember how it feels. Our lives made these small hours, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate. Time falls away, but these small hours, these small hours still remain. Let it slide. Let your troubles fall behind you. Let it shine till you feel it all around you. And I don't mind if it's me you need to turn to. We'll get by. It's the heart that really matters in the end. Our lives are made in these small hours, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate. Time falls away, but these small hours, these small hours still remain. All of my regrets will wash away somehow, but I cannot forget the way I feel right now. In these small hours, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate, all these twists and turns of fate, time falls away, but these small hours, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate, time falls away, but these small hours, these small hours still remain. Yeah, they still remain. These little wonders, oh, these twists and turns of fate, time falls away, but these small hours, these little hours still remain.
I'm remembering several years ago, I think it was during the Grammys, Adele was singing, and she was going to sing a song as a tribute to a friend who had passed. And it was one of her big hits, so everybody knew it, right? And when she started singing it, it was obvious that she and the band were not on the same note. And she got about half of a line into it, and she just stopped it. And she said, no, this is a tribute, this is important. We're going to start over, and we're going to get it right. And the whole place just went crazy, because in that moment, everybody got, if Adele can stop a performance, anybody can, right? Because for her, there you go, see? You can use everything. What she was saying was, it's more important to get it right than to look good, right? It was more important, the integrity of the piece and of her tribute was more important. So she wasn't attached to being Adele. She was attached She was desirous, we're going to see there are two different things, of getting the song right. Huge difference. So we're jumping into practice 1 of our Essential Spirituality series. This is transform your motivation, reduce craving, and find your soul's desire. This is practice 1. So what does that mean? Reduce craving and find your soul's desire. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj says, all you want is to be happy. All your desires, whatever they may be, are of longing for happiness. Basically, you wish yourself well. Desire by itself is not wrong. It is life itself, the urge to grow in knowledge and experience. It's the choices you make that are wrong. To imagine that some little thing, food, sex, power, fame, will make you happy is to deceive oneself. Only something as vast and deep as your real self can make you truly and lastingly happy. So here's how Roger starts out this practice. Everyone wants to be happy. Anybody in here not want to be happy? Just to make sure we're all on the same page before we move forward. This is the all-consuming drive that powers everything from our daily routines to the growth of civilization. Spiritual practices are so rewarding because they not only make us happier, but ultimately open the door to bliss, a type of happiness that is infinitely more profound and satisfying than any of our usual fleeting pleasures. Although everyone wants happiness, most people suffer from tragically mistaken ideas about what brings it. Worse still, once we decide on what we think will make us happy, whether it be fame or fortune, people or possessions, we tend to become attached to them. To know happiness and bliss, we need to change our motivation. This means reducing craving for those things that do not bring true happiness and redirecting desires to those that do. The first practice helps us to change our motives by recognizing our mistaken ideas about what brings happiness, by relinquishing attachments, and by recognizing and seeking what truly fosters happiness. So we're going to put this into context by looking at a couple of the faith traditions that we're studying. The first one is Hinduism. So Hinduism says that there are 4 aims in life. The first aim is called artha, or acquiring all the material possessions we need to be comfortable. The second is kama, or our desire for sensual pleasures and for love. The third aim is dharma, and this is a broad definition as the range of moral and religious duties. So that's a pretty dharma's a pretty big umbrella. So each of these 3 aims is important. It's one of the things I love about Hinduism is it's so acknowledging of our human physical selves. None of these is better or worse than any of the other. They are all important. They're all considered appropriate and pleasurable as long as they are practiced in pursuit of the 4th aim. And the 4th aim is called moksha. And that is the meaning and the balance of the first 3. It provides the foundation for the first 3. So again, loosely defined, moksha is enlightenment, liberation, freedom. It's the ultimate goal of human life. So we don't pursue the first 3 aims willy-nilly. That's not Hindu, that's me. But we pursue them within the context of our spiritual growth. We pursue them within the context of moksha. And the belief is that if we pursue the first 3 aims in pursuit of the 4th, then we're not going to pursue the first 3 excessively or unethically. So the moksha is important. It's the focus on moksha that helps us to not become attached or craving of the first 3 aims. So the Buddha taught a very consistent philosophy. He summarized it in what we now call the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is life is full of difficulties and suffering. So we kind of get that one out of the way. Again, anyone disagree with that? Right. Okay, but here's the good part. The second noble truth is that the cause of suffering is attachment. Now, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, sometimes that's translated as desire. But we make a distinction in this work between desire and attachment. And what you're going to hear from Roger and some from other teachers is that desire is not bad. I think of desire as our passion. Like, what is our passion in life? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about attachment. So, the cause of suffering is attachment. Third noble truth, freedom from attachment brings freedom from suffering. Notice how these kind of logically progress. And then the fourth noble truth, and this is really the Buddhist, what I would think of as the Buddhist way, is freedom from attachment and suffering comes from practicing what's called the Eightfold Path. And the Eightfold Path focuses on, it's like all the rights. It's right association, like who do we hang out with. It's about ethics. It's about our speech, right speech. So it's about meditating and living from that place of constantly noticing where are we suffering, what are we attached to, and what do we need to practice in order to shift. So notice that there's consistency in the traditions around the cause of suffering, and it is our attachment. Jesus addressed this when he said to the rich man, you want to follow me? Great. Go sell all your stuff and follow me. That wasn't what he wanted to hear, right? The cause of suffering is attachment. So, Roger observes the amount of suffering in our lives reflects the gap between what we crave and what we have. Craving creates suffering by producing emotional anguish and by being insatiable. So, he says, how does the end of attachment lead to the end of sorrow and suffering? Remember that happiness reflects the difference between what we crave and what we have. If we relinquish our attachments by accepting what we have, the gap dissolves, and so too does our unhappiness. This is why Gandhi, when asked to describe his philosophy of life, needed only 3 words: renounce and rejoice. And why Meister Eckhart promised that no one is happier than those who have the greatest non-attachment. So if you're on Facebook, you saw that I shared a little meme this morning that said, detachment is not that you should own nothing, but that nothing should own you. So detachment doesn't mean that we don't have our stuff, right? It doesn't mean that we don't have our opinions, our BS, our belief system, right? It means that we don't let it own us. It's very consistent with one of the Buddhist teachings. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make our world. You might notice that's Unity's third principle. Thoughts and feelings held in mind produce after their kind, right? So whatever we're attached to in our thoughts and our beliefs is going to produce either freedom or suffering. So we get to ask ourselves over and over again, what are we attached to? What is the cause of our suffering? Here's a follow-up question. Can we get attached to our suffering? Can we get so attached to our suffering that we allow it to define us? Right? What stories or beliefs do we hold on to, even recognizing that they cause us pain? As individuals, as a community, as a country, in our world, we're seeing a result of attachment to the past and to beliefs that play out based on that attachment as we're experiencing the leak of the draft from the Supreme Court. over Roe v. Wade. Right? Inherent in that draft are numerous references to the way things have always been and therefore should always be. Do you notice the attachment and the resulting suffering? Right? So this has activated many of us to post, protest, donate, etc. And it has created an intense amount of suffering. So those of us suffering and reacting get to ask ourselves, so what are we attached to? Because these questions are never about what's happening out there. They're always about what's happening in here. If I have my knickers in a twist over that draft, what am I attached to? So, we can ask if we're attached to the role we think we need to play. There's been a lot of conversations in the minister groups this week. How are we going to address this? Right? We might be attached to our opinions. See a lot of opinions on Facebook, don't you? Right? They're just opinions. And yet we react. Are we attached to our righteous indignation? Anybody else get very attached to their righteous indignation? Our calls for justice. So does being non-attached mean that we don't care? Or that we shouldn't do anything about this situation? Or any example of injustice in our lives? That would be no. This is where we learn to distinguish between desire and attachment, and why translation is so important. So Roger tells a story on himself here that I think is important. He says, our attachments are unnecessary psychological and spiritual baggage. Yet many people worry that relinquishing their attachments will leave them apathetic and joyless. This utterly false fear assumes that we need attachments in order to motivate ourselves. For example, we must be attached to money in order to work, or we need to crave fame in order to practice a sport or art. He said, I once believed this. Consequently, my first psychotherapy session proved to be a shock. At the time, I had just begun my psychiatry training, and as I walked into my therapist's office and settled into the chair, I was eagerly looking forward to learning more about the mind and myself. For the first 20 minutes, I felt fascinated and excited as we explored my life patterns and goals. But as we probed more deeply, I began to feel increasingly anxious. Suddenly, I was shocked to hear myself blurt out the words, "If you cure me, I'll never amount to anything." It was a moment of terror and the beginning of freedom. I deeply believed that I desperately needed my fears and attachments in order to goad and motivate myself, and that without them I would be reduced to an apathetic slob, unmotivated to do or achieve anything of consequence. Later, as the release of each attachment resulted not in a deadening apathy, but in a delightful sense of freedom and energy, I would look back and laugh at this belief. But at the time, it seemed very real. This kind of belief comes from confusing desires with attachments. Desires are a necessary and natural part of life. Attachments are an unnecessary source of suffering. Since they are different, desires remain when attachments are relinquished. So we will still be motivated to live our lives fully and well. In fact, we are better able to do so, since we are no longer helpless puppets dancing on the strings of compulsive cravings that distort our priorities and lives. In my next life, I want to write like Roger Walsh. Relinquishing attachments leaves us not apathetic, but calm, not joyless, but content, not indifferent to others, but more concerned and caring. According to Patanjali, who wrote the classic text on yoga 2,000 years ago, When we are established in non-attachment, the nature and purpose of existence is understood. Consider the great saints and sages. They may be free of attachments, but they devote their lives to the welfare of all people and even all creatures. Freed from ceaselessly chasing after the physical foursome, those would be the four aims we talked about earlier, they are able to follow their higher motives. So by all means, have desire, have passion, want to make a difference in the world, want to fight for justice and fairness and progress, but do it from that place of, this is who I am, and I'm not going to be attached to what it may look like on the other side. That's the difference between desire and attachment. So I think it's interesting that we are talking about attachment and suffering on Mother's Day. I think it's interesting synchronicity. I think personally and culturally we have a lot of attachment about beliefs around what it means to be a mother and about how that all shows up on this day, especially when you consider that this day did not start out with Hallmark cards and flowers and chocolate and someone else doing the cooking, although I have to confess that would be the norm in our house. It actually was brought about by a couple of women. Anna Jarvis was one of those women. She was responsible for the day becoming a national holiday, and her original mindset, her motivation, since we're looking at motivation, was to honor the sacrifices that mothers make for their children and for their families, as her mother made great sacrifices for their family. But she became so turned off by how commercialized it had become that she actually petitioned for it to, she was like the reason it became a national holiday, and then she petitioned to make it an unnational holiday, again, which we all know did not happen. But I think her point was a valid one, because what it's turned into is kind of this saccharine, I want to say celebration of mothers, but not in a real way. Commercialized, yes, yes. There was another woman, Julia Ward Howe. She wrote in 1870, following the Civil War, the absolute horror of the Civil War, something that's called the Mother's Day Proclamation of 1870. And you'll notice this says nothing about cards or flowers or chocolate. She says, "Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears, and say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husband shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity and mercy and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bottom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Remember, this was 1870. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each learning after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a general Congress of women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient, and at the earliest period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. She was calling for a council of women, representing all the nations of the world, to come together in 1870 and figure out how we can get along without fighting. What a concept. The story goes that while there were smaller gatherings that happened, there was not a larger gathering of women, because at the time, women didn't have enough rights to travel, to come together, to meet without their husband's permission, and many of them couldn't get it. But it is a time, it is an idea whose time has come, where we're not just wanting to call forward all the women of the world, but to activate that divine feminine in all of us to come together and find another way to get along, to let go of our attachment to how things have always been, to injustice and inequality, to what mothers are supposed to look like. You know, I'm reminded here of comparison being called the thief of joy. What norms and beliefs and traditions have so many of us grown up with of what mothers are supposed to look like, and how they're supposed to be, and how they're supposed to act, instead of just allowing all of us to nurture and to love whatever offspring we have brought into or claimed in the world. So much suffering caused by attachment. So lest we think this is all about suffering, he reminds us here of what he calls the higher reaches of desire, the delight of effortless being. He says, we have all had times when we danced for joy and gave to others to share our joy. We didn't dance or give to acquire happiness. We danced to express happiness. The translator of the Yoga Sutras, the classic text of yoga, describes the difference like this. Most desires arise from a feeling of lack, but the mind that is infinite lacks nothing. As the practice of yoga matures, desires cease to be the expressions of need and become instead the spontaneous unfolding of love. The sages, immersed in the joy of their true nature, no longer act to find happiness or the sacred. Rather, their actions express happiness and the sacred and are part of what Hinduism calls lila. Lila is the play of the divine. These sages are now able, as Ramakrishna exclaimed, to experience divine bliss throwing through every action and every perception. When we are here, follow your bliss has become express your bliss. Let's take that into meditation.
I have journeyed endless miles, seen many harbors where I took rest a while. On this boat called near and far, to be what you must give up what you are. Only on a wind of hope my heart sailed, braving mystic oceans to arrive. Those who do not leave and choose to stay. Barely survive. Be you dust or be you star, to be what you must, just reach out for what you are. And though you've traveled many roads, there's but one way, and that's the one you chose. Ooh, la 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 la, la la la, la la la, la 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 la. You. La 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 la.
So let's breathe together. Breathe in deeply and with intention. Feeling the breath move through you, as you. And as you exhale, feel the energy of the beloved next to you. As we realize we are all breathing the same air, listening to the same sounds, living on the same planet. Experiencing together this moment in time. The experience of this now moment. And as we focus on our breath, we remember there is only now. And right now, in this moment, there is the potential for bliss. As we open our hearts and minds to the divine, to that energy we call spirit, that energy that enlivens and inspires us, that animates us, that makes us who we are. In this now moment, there is only the potential for bliss. It's when we let our attachment to what has been or what might be creep into this moment that we allow suffering to infringe upon our joy. And so every moment becomes practice. Every breath becomes an opportunity to shift. identify the cause of our suffering and release it in service to our bliss. Gently, compassionately, courageously, every moment is practice. In this moment, what is the cause of my suffering? And am I willing to release it? Am I willing to live in bliss?
Be you dust or be you star, to be what you must, just reach out for what you are. And though you've traveled many roads, there's but one way, and that's the one you chose. Ooh, la 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 la. You. La 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 la.
Ooh, it feels so good in here. You guys are awesome. So this is the time of our service where we express our incredible gratitude for your ongoing support and generosity of this community and of the very important work that we do here inside and outside of these walls. Never doubt how important you are as community, and thank you.
I surrender to the source of all hope and light.
I surrender to the source that guides me through my night.
I surrender to the source. 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 I surrender to the light that restores my sight. I surrender to the light that turns my darkness bright.
I surrender to the truth that extinguishes light. I surrender to the truth that
source. I surrender to the 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 love that heals my broken heart. I surrender to the way that guides me through my day.
I surrender to the way that guides me through my day. I surrender to the way that has the kindest things to say.
I surrender to the source. 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 And the wind upon the sea dances out a harmony upon the pages of my heart, upon the gift that I receive. I surrender to the source. I surrender to the source. I surrender to the source. I surrender to the source.
I think your music creates bliss. That was beautiful. Thank you. Oh, kids. We have kids. Let's stand and sing them in.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I brought a microphone up for you guys because I understand that you have things you want to share with your moms today.
Oh, goodness.
Miss Bridget gave me a heads up. Who would like to share?
Oh, gosh. All the hands.
Okay, how about, we're just going to start here and move our way across, okay? How's that? What did you want to say?
My mom took me to the Grand Canyon.
These are I don't need this. These are things they particularly love about their moms. Okay.
I love my mom because she takes me to school with my brothers.
Excellent reading. Well done. All right.
I love my mom because she is going to let me fly to Florida to see my grandparents. Blah.
Wow, you're going to fly to Florida? Can I come too? No. Oh, you're going to. Well, I asked. Never ask if you don't want the answer. Okay, sweetheart, you're next.
I love my mom because she hugs me.
Don't moms give the best hugs ever? Yeah. You know what? Moms love being hugged back, and so do grandmoms. It's one of our favorite things. Well, how about if we bless you? Can we bless you? I don't know why I'm talking into this microphone. Would you turn that off for me, Elaine? All right, stand up. Rub your hands together. Get that energy going. Put them up so you can catch it. Good job. This is why Ken says you never work with kids or dogs, okay? This is why. All right. Together, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. But I personally love working with kids and dogs. So go, go find your parents. Yeah?
But I wanted to give this to you.
Oh, thank you. All right, love you, sweetie pie. All right, let's sing the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well.
So go forth and have a wonderful week, releasing your attachments and allowing bliss in your life. Join us downstairs for fellowship. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Facebook and YouTube friends. We love you.